I kind of wanted to start out our webinar today by giving you guys a little bit of an intro to Reviewer, kind of why we're hosting this webinar, and then what we're going to be going over today. So leading into that, as many of you probably know, Reviewer is an applicant management software. So essentially any program where you are intaking any sort of application, we can run within Reviewer. So we run everything from scholarships to award programs, grant programs, call for speakers, call for abstracts, all sorts of things like that. And then different competitions and contests. So over the years, as um, we've been running programs here at Reviewer, we have seen a lot of things that work really well for our clients. So we have kind of came to you with this webinar to kind of direct our focus to the younger generation in the future of your membership in your associations. So that kind of leads me to our topic today, which is engaging your most critical membership type for long-term association growth. So with that being said, my name is Callie. I run all of our marketing here at Reviewer. And I also have Hallie from my team, so I'll let her introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Hallie. I'm a part of the customer success team here at Reviewer. So I work with all of our clients from the time they're onboarded into Reviewer. I help them set their events up as they start to accept submissions, kind of help them out that way, help them with their evaluation process. And then I kind of help them close out their event and get ready for next year. So with all of that, we have one-on-one meetings and I get to kind of talk to our clients and understand the struggles, issues they were facing with past either platforms or systems that they were using. And then kind of understanding what to help them. So I kind of have that insider perspective of understanding what all of our admin are looking for and kind of how we can help them in those areas.
Awesome. All right, let's get rolling right into it. So the first thing I kind of touched on is why we are focusing on the emerging professionals and how that can be really critical for your membership base. So programs like the 40 under 40 or things like that create touch points that drive engagement, build loyalty, and make this younger generation feel more involved within your association overall. So to roll through our agenda today, first we are going to touch on award categories and how to design those to include all of your members, anywhere from young professionals entering their careers to people close to retirement age and absolutely everything in between. And then our second one will be the dual nominator nominee workflow. Third will be judging assignments and kind of how to prevent fatigue for your judges. Fourth is biased redaction and randomization. So that is just focused and geared towards trying to make as fair and simple a process as you can. Fifth is going to be scorecard design and normalized results. And then sixth, we will move on to member choice voting versus your typical judges voting that we normally see. And then we will finish off with year-round engagement and ambassadors for your associations and your programs in general.
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the category design goals. So within running awards within your association, every member, every person, a part of your organization should be able to look at these awards that you're offering and say, you know what, I can fit into one of these categories. What we're seeing a lot of is we're seeing awards that are for your tenures, people who have been around for a long time, your legacy awards, kind of niche category specific. And then there's nothing that kind of pertains to that younger generation, which as we look at numbers and retention rates, we need more people, more younger members to be engaged and kind of active within these events that you're running, because eventually those 10 years legacy awards, things like that, they're no longer going to be a part of your organization. So really making sure that we engage that younger generation, that younger group of people is super important. So ways that we kind of do that is we want to work on the design of your categories within your events. So the first one is going to be geographical segmentation. As a kind of just remote working is becoming a lot more common. I know a lot of our clients I get are from all across the country. So geographical segmentation, no matter kind of what company you are making, if you're a part of, organization, association that you are part of, there's probably some kind of geographical segmentation. Now, it might not be across the country that widespread, but if it's within a state, within a county, kind of if there's not geographical that it can cover, if there's areas within your organization that you can cover geographically, kind of spreading out that way. Second thing is going to be your typical, your tenure-based categories. This is what we see most common when people are coming into reviewer and running these events, is it's going to be based on who's been there the longest, kind of what they have done, legacy, people for the awards events for those who have been a part of your organization, and inclusion. So signal organizational values and engage diverse members. So this doesn't have to be necessarily for that diversity and inclusion category, but finding ways that you will engage multiple members. It might not be through that diversity and inclusion. It might be, that's great. But just finding out specific kind of niche categories that would engage a lot more of your personnel as opposed to maybe just one or two. So finding those categories that will fit into larger groups or sectors of people. And then the last one is impact-based awards. So this is going to be kind of based on the highest moneymaker, highest award, anything like that, but kind of impact based. So again, breaking it down into a specific niche and then kind of going within that. Impact awards are a lot more than just kind of that surface level of who did the most, if that makes sense. Perfect. Um, some award category examples, kind of just piggybacking off of what I said in that last slide. Future focus categories. So that would be like your 30 under 30 or 20 under 40, rising stars. So specifically for those younger members. So if we're going to have those 10-year awards that we're going to be offering, we also want to focus something down on that younger generation. So awards like that, working towards something for the future. Innovation category. So again, something that someone is kind of having a breakthrough, something is that are kind of making those pushes to move forward within your company. Community impact. This is a really great way if maybe there are more kind of internal people, or maybe people in your organization that are more forward facing and don't have as much to do internally with your company, have an award for their service impact, their volunteer impact, kind of that community impact overall, because while they maybe not be in the same categories of making impacts and innovations within your organization, outside of that and kind of that surface level outside view is also equally as important. And the last thing is when we have that member growth or your innovative chapter awards, but kind of finding ways to make that accessible to everyone. So kind of a healthy competition between everyone, whether that is including your geographical regions, whether it is between different areas within your organization, whether it's between age groups. So kind of more of an overall, but then we can kind of break up into those sectors. So it's, again, kind of that friendly competition. Something we like to talk about a lot when we're talking about creating these award categories is we want to get that workplace buzz, okay? Part of having a successful awards event is getting your numbers up. We need more people to be applying, be more active, because not only is that good for your award, but that's great for your company as well, having member engagement. So getting kind of that workplace buzz going in your guys' organization. You're muted, Callie. Here we go.
All right, perfect. Now I'm unmuted. Sorry about that. So next, we're going to move on to the dual nominator nominee workflow. So we're kind of going to break this up into two parts here. And the first one is the nominator experience. So we want that part of the process to kind of be more simplified and easy for your nominators. Um, we have seen that long, lengthy, extensive forms can be super difficult for your nominator because number one, they may not have as much information on that applicant as you are wanting. And then two, they're just taking a little time out of their day to try to do this nomination. So making that as simple and as easy as possible is super important. So moving on to the nominee aspect, that's where we would like to see your nominator comes in, they nominate them. Then your nominee would receive a notification that they have been nominated. They can then come in and complete details on themselves because they have obviously more data and information that they are able to put in than their nominator would be. So that shifts a lot of the effort that's put in onto your nominee rather than the nominator. And then it also creates number one, accuracy in your data. And then two, it creates some excitement for your nominee to get that notification and realize that they have been nominated.
Yeah. With that, I'm going to show you what that nominator nominee experience looks like. And kind of one more thing just to note with that is that when you do a nomination nominee process, that seems like kind of a lot of work because that's two people involved, but it actually generates a lot better numbers because that's two more people that are going to be involved. And also with kind of the transition of having that nomination be easier, more simple, less information, that's also going to increase your numbers because if I'm in my workplace and I see that there's a nomination event, I nominate someone and it took me 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and I go over to Callie and I say, hey, Callie, I just nominated so and so for this award. Like, you should go and nominate someone. That's going to go over a lot better than if I have to spend multiple hours trying to fill out this nomination for someone and not have that great experience. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that. Here's kind of what that nominator nominee experience looks like. So kind of broader picture, a lot of times our clients post their link to their microsite either on their website, social media, however your marketing team likes to push things out to your organization, email, kind of however that link is shared out. And then everyone who comes through Reviewer is going to create an account. And this is a really great process just because then if they have to save and come back later, everything will be saved. They'll log in and they can pick up right where they left off. And then from year to year, as you guys continue to use Reviewer throughout your awards, they can just log back in and start a new application. And some of that data is going to be saved from year to year, such as their name, email, things like that. So it just creates a really good experience for that user. Okay, so this is kind of that first part. So right now we are the nominator. We have just applied through the microsite, created that account. Really simple information. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again and just kind of continue. Sorry about that, guys. And then they will have that kind of HTML. Congratulations. We have some eligibility that we can run. Any eligibility for awards throughout your event, we can set that up. And then here's kind of that more in-depth actual application process for your nominees. So they will fill out that more in-depth information, their birth date, their specific ID number, kind of things like that. Transactions, a lot of companies are going to have like your sales numbers kind of things like that, and that's not super accessible. Having the nominee be able to fill that out is super important. Another thing is file uploads. A lot of people that are coming to reviewer are coming from either just kind of submitting through emails, PDFs, things like that. And so having a secure place to upload files where they're not going to be traded around and lost anywhere is really important. And then another place where they can just kind of get in more in depth and brag on themselves. They've already gotten that honor of being nominated. And so now they kind of have the opportunity to really go in depth as to why they have earned this award. And then one more thing to know, a lot of awards don't use letter of recommendations, but if you want to, we have the opportunity to invite someone from outside of the system in to upload references, recommendations, transcripts, anything like that for any of it. Okay, looks like Callie got kicked out, so I'll just keep on going through the slides. Okay, let me pull them up. Sorry about this, guys. We're having some technical difficulties. Okay, so this next page is going to be for your judge assignment and fatigue prevention. So something that we kind of talk about a lot with reviewer is that your judges are your volunteers, right? So we want to make sure that we have these volunteers continue to come back and to continue to help us with running our events, because they are volunteers. We want them to have a great process, an easy process for them, and just kind of have that overall great experience. We want them to kind of make it known that this is a great process, great experience for them. So first thing that we'll talk about is random judge panel assignments. So instead of you as an admin having to manually assign each individual assignment, we can randomize that. So a lot of these things, while I'm talking about making a better experience for the judges, this is making the experience for you better as an admin as well, making it less manual, quicker, things along those lines. Second thing is workload balancing. That is going to be kind of going along with that random assignments, but setting minimum and maximum so that each judge is reviewing the same amount of submissions instead of having one judge judge 50 versus one that's judging 2. That's not fair. And those assignments are not going to be evaluated equally. That's not going to be an even playing field. So there's that. Second thing is expertise matching. So pair judges with nominations in their area of expertise while maintaining randomization for fairness. So we might have a specific bucket that is for maybe your geographical region, or maybe it's for your specific department in your organization. So kind of splitting up that way, but then so your judges are in their expertise buckets, if that makes sense, but then still randomizing so that you're not specifically manually assigning each judge to each submission. Another thing is progress tracking and automated reminders. This is going to be kind of a real-time dashboard. So your evaluators can see how many evaluations they have left. And then also just so that you as an admin have visibility of how many judges do I have left that still need to be filling that out, and kind of can be able to keep tabs without having to check in and ask every single judge. And then conflict of interest management. So automation detection and reassignment when your judges have relationships with nominees. Another thing with that to kind of break the barrier of that bias conflict of interest is that we can hide any personal information. Any information within a submission form we can also hide. So whether that is your name, your contact information, address, anything like that, we can hide so that it's not visible to your applicants. I am going over and just kind of show you what those buckets mean. So this is your groups and divisions page. We use groups and divisions to sort out our applicants. We have to have all submissions have to be in buckets in our groups and divisions in order to be evaluated. And so whatever works best for you guys to separate, or if it's best to have it in one group, we can do that. But this is kind of what they look like. So for this award specifically, we have their 30 under 30. We have the new member of the year, volunteer of the year, lifetime achievement. So just kind of some examples of getting that more broad award groups, one specific open to everyone kind of category. Just to kind of show you, we can see all the judges within each individual group. And then just wanted to show you kind of what that assignments look like. So we can assign submissions to judges, judges to submitters. And then from there we can make those manual assignments, or we can assign all. So if we have kind of separated your people into their corresponding groups and we want every submission to be judged by every judge, we can set that up too. So click of a button so that everything can be done for you and you don't have to manually go in and out and do that. Perfect. Next thing is submission order and bias reduction. So this is going to be a little bit more geared towards those judges, just because this is going to make the process better for them, but then also, again, helping you have more fair, better evaluations and scores. With that is going to be that randomized review order. So this is going to be, a lot of times we see other people coming from platforms where the top person is the person with the last name highest. And so randomized review order means that every time a reviewer comes in, those submissions are going to be in a random order. And every time they exit and leave, that order will be different. And that's across all judges. So no submission is going to be stuck at the top or stuck at the bottom. Everyone kind of gets that fair opportunity to get in the mix and have that top review. Because at the end of the day, your first 5 reviews, evaluations in one time period are going to be better than your last 5. So trying to kind of break that barrier and give every submission the opportunity to be at that top. Blind review options, so information, tax forms, banking information. There's a lot of information on forms awards specifically that the reviewer just does not need to see. And so kind of hiding that side of things. Score normalization, this is really an important one for all events, just because no matter how you set things up, you are going to have your tough scores and you're going to have your easy scores. And there's really nothing you can do about that, as fair as possible. But at the end of the day, people have different views, which is great. And so what score normalization does is it takes every judge's average score per submission and gives them an average score overall. So what was the average score they gave all submissions that they were assigned to? From there, we get a baseline, and anything above that baseline is really a true contender because they were above average, and anything below, opposite. And I will show you that in just a minute. And then scoring pattern analysis. So something else that's really important, a lot of times our judges are maybe a little bit older, clicking through things, going through things quickly. This is a new platform, so they might just not be as familiar. And so if they accidentally misclick or submit without meaning to, there are going to be some outliers. And that's kind of inevitable with any event, that there might be a score that you think, you know, this submission got 5 really high scores and 1 really low. Let's get to the bottom of this and let's try and figure out why there was this outlier. For submission, you'll see every single score that was given, and then from there you can kind of see if there is an outlier. I just want to show you guys what that score normalization report looks like. Right here, we can see the outliers. So we have every other score looking pretty high, and then we have a really low score. So within each submission, you can see each individual score, kind of see what that looks like. And then here's that normalization that will be given to you. You can download it and then you can have those scores. On the left, we have all our submissions, and then on the top, we have all of our judges listed. Each corresponding cell is the score that each judge gave each submission. Over here on the bottom, we can see the average score that each judge gave all submissions. Just to kind of point it out, Judge Judy gave an average score of 23, while Judge Tony gave an average score of 34. Obviously, your submitters are going to want that score of a 34 because that seems like it's a better score higher. But what we do with that is each of these averages are turned into a 1. For Judge Tony would be a 1.1 above, whatever that might be. Same for lower and as well with Judge Judy. So then you can kind of see your actual true winners, who truly was above average, is your high score. Perfect. Next thing, scorecard design and normalized results, excuse me. So a couple things, anchoring each score level. So instead of, we really want to try and move away from the 1 to 10, again, just because there's some discrepancy. My version of a 6 might be completely different than Callie's version of a 6. And so doing something like a does not meet expectations to, meets expectations to, exceeds expectations, kind of putting that verbal that verbiage to it so that it makes a little bit weight that matters. So you might have 10 different areas of your submission form that you are scoring on, but out of those 10, there might be 2 that are really, really important. Those are your top 2. The scores on this need to kind of override any other scores. And so we can put weight on those scores, assign the point values that kind of match up with your values. Consistent criteria definitions. So again, kind of making those clear descriptions so that if you do go that number route, you make sure that they know what that number means. You know that they're giving a 6 because it is slightly above average. So making it super clear is really important, especially when onboarding into a new system. Set that time aside and review with your evaluators what this process is going to look like. We will give you, there's a lot of content and information that we can give to you to give to your reviewers. And then you can kind of sit down and go through with them what that process is going to look like. It's very important that you make sure that they have a great process. Perfect. Next thing is going to be member choice versus expert judging. Something else, so obviously we want to kind of generate that workplace buzz that we've talked about, but it's also really important to get that kind of community buzz. Make the community know that you are fun, you guys are doing this awards within, you have some friendly competition, you're kind of encouraging your so we also want to involve that community. You want them to be involved and kind of get excited about them. So with that, member choice voting is one of the things. So this can be for anyone. You can kind of change what this is going to look like. You can do member choice based on maybe you are doing a nominate or nominee, and there's some people that weren't nominated or didn't create a nomination, but they still want to be involved in that award process. So do a member choice voting organization wide. So members who aren't directly involved can still have an impact on who the finalists of those awards are. With that, and take a view of who all is a part, who has been nominated, who has been awarded, and then kind of give them a say. Or you can do another kind of situation where you do an award where it's community-based or member-based. Expert panel judging. It maintains a credibility and ensures recognition is based on substantive evaluation. Industry leaders validate achievement and add prestige. So making sure that you are picking great panelists that are going to judge fairly, evenly, and take it seriously, because at the end of the day, you want a good outcome of these awards. Weighted hybrid. So 80% where you have that member voting in at 20 to 30%. Best of both worlds, you can kind of do both, or you can do one or the other and kind of separate them, whatever works best for you, whatever you think will kind of generate more numbers for you. And then separate categories. So create distinct People's Choice Awards alongside expert judge categories. So while some people might not have been nominated or might not have applied for their specific award, we could do a People's Choice Award where anyone is open to nominate and put someone in the cards for a People's Choice Award. Really quickly, I do just want to show you guys what that member voting looks like. So this will be the same if you do member or community. You'll share it a link and they'll come and they'll see a page. A lot of people set it up to where you have anyone who is nominated, so everyone gets that recognition. And then later down the road, maybe you just do your award winners and showcase them. But they can come and kind of see a page of everyone who has been showcased, and then kind of a little packet of information about them. You can kind of customize what all is going to show up on there. And then over here, we can also apply any pictures, multiple pictures that kind of corresponds with the award, what they've been nominated for, etc. And then you can either do a 1 through 5, 1 through 10 voting, or we can the week before for everyone, let's get your last minute submissions in. We go sign, we have our event, oh, congratulations, and then we don't hear anything about it. We want to kind of change that because that's not a great process and that's not going to help you overall as you continue to run these events from year to year. So the first thing is let's do something more with those award winners. Let's have them be a guest speaker at maybe a talk and lunch, or maybe we can have them be a guest speaker at a meeting. We can set something aside so that we can set a meeting. We can set up a specific meeting to where these award winners are going to come in and discuss, say thank you, but then also encourage other people to follow in their footsteps, make that impact like them. Second thing, newsletter and blog contributors. Let's send them out on a company newsletter, a community newsletter, anyone who's kind of involved. We want to share that out. Social media, let them know that you are proud of the award that they've won and that they're making strides. Let's keep it more than just kind of within our group. Mentorship integration, especially for those lifetime, those legacies, those kind of tenure awards that you're running, do a mentorship program for those awards. That's a really great way to kind of help those newbies in your organization kind of get more comfortable, but then also kind of give them that view. You know, these people received really valuable awards, kind of help them teach them their ways. And then kind of how I discussed earlier is that digital showcasing. So whether that be on your social media, your website, however you kind of push your marketing, it's really important that we share that out. Again, we want this to be more of a year round. We want these people to be showcased, and we want to kind of generate that so that other people's in your organization are working towards winning those awards. And then one last kind of thing that I want to talk about is common program mistakes. So kind of just recapping what we discussed. The first one is going to be the one size fits all categories. Those numbers are not going to be great. You are not going to see improvement from year, and you honestly are probably going to see less numbers from year to year because people are going to be retiring, leaving your organization, moving to new jobs. So we need to make sure that we are encouraging and incorporating everyone into these awards. Ignoring those young professionals, kind of coming up on what I just discussed, you are going to be having a bulk of your employees retiring. We're kind of at that day and age when that is, we go through that cycle. And so we need to kind of encourage and put focus on some of those younger employees. Burdensome nominations. Again, we want to kind of focus in on the numbers here. Not intuitive, it's not good, and it just is kind of annoying. We want to make that easy and exciting for them and encourage other people to go do this easy process. Judge burnout, again, probably your volunteers. Let's give them the best process so they continue to come back, and then also encourage other people, you know, hey Sally, I judged in this event and that was really great. I really think that you should nominate someone or you should apply. Again, one thing kind of leads to another. Everyone is tied together in this process. Kind of with that order bias, so that all of our submissions are getting that fair. Missing member choice. So instead of doing only your specific panel, let's get more people involved. The more the better, right? The more the merrier. And then one and done recognition. That's kind of the last thing, but possibly one of the most important things. We want to extend this around year long. We don't want this to be 2 weeks total where people are talking about it and getting excited about it, and then one night it's all over. We want this to be kind of a year-round thing. All right, well, if we don't have any questions, be on the lookout for that follow-up that will be coming in the next couple of days. And thank you for joining our webinar today.